What is happening, everybody? I hope you've had a good...
Back in like 2005, something like that.
I think my first comment. So good. It's Friday Junior.
It's Friday Junior. It's podcast day. It's payday.
And if you come out, do it electrically. Doesn't matter how you feel about the situation.
My name is Raph. We're always before we start the podcast because we just want to talk about it. We want to talk about music and just share those stories and experience. This is my co-host Carl, aka the Beer Buddy. He is hailing you.
This sort of weird era where they're sort of right in that post-grunge.
Look, you're fighting the good fight in today's world. My war was fought 40 years ago, really.
We are the two dudes who talk music, and we are here. Hey, I'm too quick on that air horn button, mate. How you doing?
Yeah, that is amazing. I love every second of it, dude. Fantastic.
My man, how you doing?
How
was last week?
Bro, last week was awesome.
Yeah.
Last week was awesome. It's all happening, mate. Matchbox 20. I had Matchbox 20 on Thursday night.
Yeah, you went and saw that. How was that?
Pretty good. It was pretty good. The sound was amazing at Kudos. But what was crazy is that 2 fights broke out and I saw a lady get arrested.
Fucking Matchbox 20 concert.
I
It
know.
goes hard.
I know.
Wow.
Was
no fights at Mudvayne or Coal Chamber.
exactly. This is what I
No
kept
fights at
on
Mudvayne. Let me tell you though, man. That
Yeah,
Mudvayne
how
and Coal
was
Chamber
yours?
show was like, it just felt good. You know what I mean? Like it
Yeah.
was good vibes. Everyone was like these, like Mudvayne hasn't been out here in like 18 years.
Mhm.
Coal Chamber, it's been 12 years, I think, something like that.
Yeah,
So
they last played at Soundwave.
everyone was just stoked. Everyone was having a great time. Everyone was happy to be there. I was on the barrier for the whole show, and I was just like, I took a single photo the whole show. I was just like, that's it, one photo.
Like
I'm
it would
just
have been
living
18
it.
years ago.
I'm just living it. I'm just enjoying it, like seeing a band that I've never seen before in Mudvayne, and just really, really, and like Cold Chamber fucking smashed it, dude.
Yeah,
Like,
of course.
Des is up there sounding better than he's ever sounded in his whole fucking career.
Awesome. That makes me so happy.
Great to see Nadia back in the band as well.
Yeah.
So I'm stoked. I'm just so happy with it. The show was amazing. The merch was great. I wanted to buy every single fucking shirt because all the shirt designs were sick. So my wallet said no, so I just got one of each. But there's some mad designs on the artwork down there. So
mad.
yeah, man, it was.
I saw a
it was
couple
a
of
great
people
show
that
though.
ram it down, rolling in with some Mudvayne gear. It was popping. It was popping off. But
Yeah, I got the.
one
I
thing
got
I
the.
will say,
Just the red shirt with the tour dates on the back.
yeah, nice.
Like, yeah.
I saw that one kicking around. But
The
one thing I
Cold
will
Chamber
say
one
is
was
that
like a Ouija board.
I noticed that there weren't many phones out at Matchbox 20 either.
Well,
So I'm wondering
Matchbox
if
20
that
is going to
might
be a bit of an older
a-
audience.
I know. I'm wondering if that might, and we're the older audience now too, man. Let's not
Yes,
get it
that's what I
twisted.
I mean.
I'm wondering if yeah. So yeah, it was really interesting. It was really interesting because the whole place wasn't lit up by phones. The lights really got a chance to have a go, and it was pretty popping. Let's get into this. Let's get
Yeah,
into
man.
this
Let's
bad
get
boy.
into it. Let's get into this week. So we have with us a couple of fellas from a band called Engraved. They've just dropped a new single, but these guys are like they're metalcore outfit, and they're kicking ass. They've released a couple of things, but they reached out to us with their new single that they've just released, the Wretched one, and man, look, when I heard it, I was really, really impressed. I think there's an energy and an enthusiasm that shines through that I'm really excited. So I'm excited to talk to these guys and to see, what else they got going on. I'm excited to delve into their history and, find out what else they got coming up. Pick their brains as it relates to music because that's why we're here. We just talk all about music. It's in the name of the fucking show.
It is.
So, look, without further ado, let's get them on. We've got Dan and Phil from Engraved. Boys, how you doing today? You feeling good?
What's cracking, lads?
Oh, yeah.
On top of the
We're
moon,
doing
man.
good. Yeah, I was stoked
He-
to be here.
How's the new single
you.
been received?
Yeah, we've received a lot of positive feedback so far. It's been really nice. It was our first single release with a new vocalist on it, and yeah, we were taking a new approach here, trying to stay obviously heavy in the metalcore side, but yeah, no, we received a lot of positive feedback on the track, and a lot of the feedback came through the instrumentals and the way the song was structured mostly.
Mm.
Yeah, so
It's good.
with that.
Yeah, look, I mean, it's you know, we really appreciate you guys coming on and talking to us today because you know, as soon as you reached out and I went and listened to the track, I was like, oh yeah, no question, no question. Like we got to have these guys on, because I mean, the stuff like what you guys are doing is everything that Kyle and I were listening to back in the day when we first got involved in the scene. Like that's what you know. It's got that kind of vibe about it. It's like a throwback in some ways almost. When it's funny to talk that way, like about metalcore as like a throwback, but it really is. Um, and you're right. I think like the song structure is really good in there. There's a lot of the songwriting that you can tell that's gone into it is really crisp. And I haven't checked out. I'll be honest. I haven't checked out the older stuff with the previous vocalist yet. But if this is indicative of the direction that you guys are headed, I think you know I'm really excited to see what you guys are able to do because hearing that gets me excited. I dig it, and I'm keen for what else may be on the horizon with that. So that's is that something you guys recorded like as a standalone or as part of a larger project with the release that's coming down the line? Or
It was just a single. Like once we had the lineup change back in last year, these songs we just had they were all demos for ideas, but we wanted to put something out to you know to get the ball rolling. But yeah, so the Wretched One, there's one song and there was another track on the way to recorded. There were two songs that were like, alright, let's just smash it, something that really big to us. Yeah, the songwriting was what I told you guys before. That's what inspired me.
yeah,
And we just love the fact that it was it feels good when we hear people enjoy the songs that we like. Yeah, we like the live
yeah. And that's the thing because I mean that obviously metalcore has evolved and changed over you know the last sort of 15 to 20 years. So what you guys are doing kind of stands out in a way because it's so reminiscent of that older style of metalcore. So I mean, have you like how have you guys been going with gigs? Have you been getting like good responses in terms of live audiences as well?
Yeah, so when we started our first show after the lineup adjustment, which was Beyond the Darkness we were supposed to have just about time for that I'd like to think shortly after that, yeah, we started booking more shows. We went down to Melbourne and we played a few in Sydney here. And so the plan was for 2024, we're just going to be smashing out as many shows as possible. We started off with a show in Brisbane back in January, which was great. We had
Just missed it. I just missed it.
the one we played at Rick's Bar in Brisbane there in the Valley. It was something like 45 degrees up there on the stage.
Yeah.
It was,
Nearly 50.
Yeah, the
100%
Valley is
humidity.
We're all
Brisbane,
drenched in sweat.
it's a nightmare, man. I play in a masked band up here. Like, how do you think I feel?
Yeah, I see some of those guys coming around, those mask bands, man. I don't know how you guys do it. Like, it's not just the face as well. A lot of the guys wear the outfits too, and it's
Don't giraffe.
Yeah, well, I made sure that my outfit works as a cutoff, so I'm like I'm at
But
least more
still,
chill in
you
that
got
regard.
you got the bloody leather front. You got like the
Dude, that's like it's a leather apron. It's fine. Like it's nothing.
Still,
an
still.
apron.
But yeah,
I love it.
but yeah, no, the Heat is like it really is killer. I mean, like I literally just watched. I don't know if you guys are wrestling fans or not. I just watched Elimination Chamber. WWE had their pay-per-view from Perth last night, and yeah, it was like 35, 40 degrees in Perth all day. They're out, and the stadium. Obviously, as we know, stadiums hold a lot of that humidity inside the bowl of it, and they were out there, running around, competing in that high humidity in those like 30-degree weather. Even after the sun went down, I'm like, I don't know how. I don't know how they do it. Like it's stupid. Like I die in there. I'm done. Soon when I get off stage after playing in heat like that, it's like no, it's fucking done.
I do
It's
that and I
useless.
get half naked anyway.
Nice.
I just like to go sit down in a corner.
Yeah, that's the way. You gotta
Just
like
sweat it out.
I mean, this is the problem that we face as doing this stuff in Australia, right? It's like summer, it just gets so hot, and a lot of these venues don't have adequate air conditioning for the stage space. So you just and
Yeah.
with the amount, yeah, you just because it's fine. Yeah, it's fine when the room's not full of people and you don't have all the stage lights on and everything. But once you kick all that into gear, there's just no dealing with it. It's just so hot and can be. I mean, can be really suffocating at times that I think a lot of people from overseas don't really appreciate.
No,
Well,
I
most
don't
of
think they
them
do.
anyway when they come.
No.
You always hear
They
about
always-
like heat stroke and stuff.
Yeah, I think that's Deftones are always like, yeah, we'll play during the day. We can do it.
But that's why I felt like I was at Good Things back in November, and like that the heat that day was criminal. Like it really was. And the big kind of tent at the showgrounds there where they had one of the stages. Like yeah, it was good because it was out of the sun, but that many people crammed in there, and the heat and humidity was trapped in, and it had nowhere to go. So again, it must have been like 45, 50 degrees just from the heat and humidity and all the bodies in there. And then you had Corey Taylor up there on the main stage in the main arena in like direct afternoon sun for 40 minutes running around. And I mean, that little ginger guy's running around like that. He must have copped. I just these the
I think he got pretty sick too. I got told
Really?
from that show. Yeah.
Wow.
I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised. Festival flu is a real thing. It really is. I've known quite a few people that have done a lot of crew work, and on big festivals, yeah, flu festivals 100% a thing. All it takes is one person to be a little bit sick, and it goes through everyone because you're all in each other's faces. You're all running around past each other. You're all touching each other's gear, like they have all the gear and equipment, and there's no time for a lot of precautions like wearing face masks and stuff. And often the crew workers, it's a gig-based economy, right? Like you don't work, you don't get paid. You're a subcontractor, so like you don't get sick time, you don't get paid sick leave or any of that. So if you're sick, you kind of have to still go to work a lot of the time. And actually, I remember a story about Slipknot in like
During
2005, 2004, Big Day Out, when Slipknot played it was the Subliminal Verses touring cycle, and they played Big Day Out. And I remember hearing stories from the crew up that the festival flu that ordinarily goes around was like 5 times worse than it normally was. Like it was really, really bad. And they actually nicknamed it the Slipknot flu because they found out the Slipknot guys never clean their masks. So they're like, it must have been that.
Wow.
It must have been that because anyone that was, dealing with all the bacteria and the grossness and the sweat and everything that builds up inside of those things
Oh,
is, yeah,
That's swampy, man. Oh.
it is. It is. As someone who's look, as someone who wears a mask when I perform, like, yeah, the sweat that happens inside the mask is real. And if you don't clean it immediately, or like when you get home, or the very next day at least, it just gets horrendous. It gets so ugly and gross. They stink. And when the Slipknot guys were like, told stories about throwing up in their masks before shows and just leaving it there with the smell and everything inside of it, I'm like, I
Holy
can
shit.
believe, I can believe that yeah, they got some sort of super flu going on that they're immune to because they wear the masks. So I don't know. It's fucking horrendous.
Like a new type of COVID.
yeah, that's probably
Started,
why none of
that
them
started
got it.
the pandemic.
None of them got
Yeah.
it.
Wow.
And
So
if they did, COVID went, no, I'm leaving.
Probably
so
killed
I
COVID.
want to I want to go back a little bit because obviously you guys have just got a new singer, but I want to touch on the origins of the band. So like when did you guys first kind of start as Engraved, and who was responsible for that, and what's the journey been from there to here?
Bit of
You
a
go,
story,
Dan.
so I hope you're
Yeah,
ready.
you go.
No, go for
Um,
it.
So in 2018, right, prior to this, I was a bedroom guitarist. Had no idea what the fuck I was doing. I was just playing like covers of Avenged
Just
Sevenfold,
covers.
Parkway, all that kind of stuff, the good shit, right? And my partner at the time, I used to keep whinging to her all the time, like, I want to play in a band, I want to do something, I don't know what to do. It was always something I just wanted to do. So 2018, I put an ad up on Gumtree, met this drummer, lived out in Western Sydney. It's like about an hour from where I live. And for a few weeks, we're meeting up, having a jam, playing like Slipknot covers and stuff like that. And then we thought, all right, this is pretty cool. Let's get a vocalist in. We found this guy also out that way. Started jamming, and for about a year, it was just the three of us kind of playing all these covers, and there was no direction. I'd started writing music uh, for these guys to play with as well, but they just didn't like it. It wasn't the thing that they wanted to do. And those songs are now what is on our first EP, and also Wretched One was actually one of them too. Um, and yeah, just for like a year, we were going back and forth, and then between COVID and stuff, it was really hard to meet up and find people that were still motivated to play. I'm sure you guys would have heard the stories from all other bands as well. It's
Hmm.
just
Hmm.
magic, but yeah. Shortly after that, I think it was about a year and a half, 2 years, something like that. We got Andy, who was the first rhythm guitarist in the group, Brazilian guy. He came from like it was like a K-pop symphonic metal kind of background. He found a vocalist who was Julio. And so Nate had left at that point, who was like the first guy we were jamming with. And then Phil eventually popped in. Andy managed to get a hold of Phil. And all while this was going on, Phil was up in Queensland, I think, playing for
No, I was
Salacious.
living in Sydney still.
Oh, you were living in Sydney there, yeah. Yeah, and then it was kind of like we started to connect a bit, and the vibe was nice, and then we started to work on the songs. A short while after that, that drummer left, and then we found a guy called John. From He lived in Western Sydney at the time, but he was mostly from Newcastle and country New South Wales. I think Gunnedah is where he grew up, something like that. So we kind of had this mix of like everyone coming from different backgrounds, different areas, and different influences too. None of us were kind of like into the same bands, like religiously. But yeah, so we started to write the first EP and landed our first show April 2021. No, it was April 2021, I think. It was a
Yeah, we've
Crowbar, something like
discussed.
that.
Yeah, our
Yeah,
crowbar we've
Oh,
discussed.
yeah, nice.
Good old Crowbar,
yeah,
man.
yeah. And that was it. We had like such a great time and started to work again. Obviously, that was another year of COVID, so trying to get shows and figure out trying to find direction was a bit tricky by that point. But yeah, so then the next show we ended up playing was the Heavy Magazine anniversary shows. which was one in Sydney and one in Melbourne, and that was at the start of January 2022. But for like a whole 8-month period, there was no shows. We were just writing, and we decided to record our EP leading up to those 2 shows. And then yeah, from that point, we started to rotate a few drummers, and there was a sense of like urgency throughout 2022 because we were booked on a tour with Disgust and Awaken Time, which was pretty exciting because it was like our 4th show as a band by that point, and we were going on like a tour as support, so that was really fun.
Wow.
Yeah, and then after that, we came into 2023. We recorded 2 more songs, Wake Up and Deadline. And Deadline was the one we recorded the music video for on the Northern Beaches in Sydney. And then yeah, again we had another fallout with the drummer, so we were back on the yeah.
Fucking
we
drummers, man. Fucking drummers.
it's been here's the thing,
They're
right?
an
Like, the
enigma.
guys,
They're an enigma.
Yeah. It's
it's very it's just like a whole personality behind it. Like they're very talented dudes. Like I give a lot of respect to drummers because that's a fucking hard instrument to play.
Mm-hmm.
But, like there's
the only
that,
time you find a good one though, they're in 5 other bands.
yeah.
Or they don't have a car.
Yeah. Or a drum set.
Yeah. It's all like electronic. They do everything on Logic now. Yeah, so then we had to go find another drummer, and by that point, I think for the other 2 members, Julio and Andy, as we were constantly having to rotate, they kind of saw it as a way out as well, which is what led to our lineup adjustment mid last year. And then from that point, just the energy in the group felt different. You know, we got Corey joined the band. Phil knew Corey many years before from bands in Cairns. And then we found Drew, who was the drummer, who unfortunately has just stepped out from the band as well due to like some medical concerns. And then along with that, we found Adam, the vocalist, at that in Brisbane too. So we've again gone back through a cycle of drummers. And I was actually having this conversation with Phil and Corey the other day. I'm like, am I writing like too complicated songs for these guys? They just don't want to play, or they don't like the music. I don't know what's going on, but trying to find a drummer seems to be our kind of downfall at the moment. But barring that, like when we are together and over the years, like the way we've flowed with music and shows and performances, our energy on stage, like that's the most important to us, and it's the part we do enjoy the most as well. So yeah, it's
So, okay, so as you mentioned, you guys have a few singles out as well as the EP that you've released there. So, if people go when you go and check these guys out, make sure you listen to all the songs. Definitely be something in there that you like, especially if you're in the same vein as Kyle and myself. Kind of grew up in that 2000s era of metal, and I'm obviously we hope that your drummer is able to sort himself out, get well soon. Sending all our best wishes, and that if he's able to and is wanting to, that he's able to come back. But if not, then I'm sure that you will find someone sooner or later. And look, having been in a band in the past with a lot of rotating members, I get it. Back when I was in Tensions Arise, we went through several guitarists. Like we had trying to have 2 guitarists, and we went through like several different people before we found someone who was ultimately more perfect for the band than just about anyone else that was in the band, even the rest of the band members. Um, Sometimes that person just, and it was so funny because when this guy came in, shout out to Ash.
I knew exactly
He
what you were
was
talking about.
he came in and we were like, oh, okay, because we'd had the situation is we'd gone through a bunch of people and oh yeah, I got someone that's interested. Oh yeah, cool. We'd advertise and say, hey, is anyone interested? And we'd have someone come in, and it would, like the first person that came in, we were like, yep, cool. So you're interested? You can play it? Yeah, let's go. And so when Ash came in, we're like, we kind of wanted to say no, just because he was the first person that was coming in to audition for the spot. But as soon as we saw his passion for it and what he could do, there was no question. Like at that, this was when we were preparing to go to America to record, and we had said to him during the interview when we first spoke to him, like, "Hey, this is something we've got coming up. Like it's a year from now, but it's in the pipeline. We're going to America to record. Is that something that's going to be an issue for you?" The next rehearsal a week later, when he came in to act, when we'd given him a week to learn some stuff. Then the week later, when he came in to jam and like try and play some of the material, uh, he was like, "Oh, by the way, I've applied for my passport, just so you know."
Awesome. That's
And
so
we're
That's
like,
the
cool.
way to do it.
Yeah.
"My guy."
Yeah.
Like that's so sometimes, man, it's just it can be really easy to lose momentum and get frustrated with it and lose heart over it and be like, "Oh, like what fucking I can't, why am I, we can't find anyone. Why are we doing it? We can't find anyone. Can't find anyone."
Yeah.
As frustrating as it is, if these people have left the band, with the exception of your current guy who's obviously got like dealing with a lot of stuff, but these other people, guitarists and drummers, anyone that's in the band that leaves and you're like, why can't we keep people? It's a good thing at the end of the day because you better that if people aren't the right fit that they leave than have them stay and drag the whole thing down.
That's so
I
true.
completely agree on that. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's as simple as that. And I'm just talk to everybody out there right now. If you're in a band that you don't want to fucking be in,
Just leave.
just leave.
Just leave. Yeah.
Just leave. Like, yes, it might upset them. Yes, you should try and fulfill your obligations in terms of gigs and stuff, and any financial obligations that you have to people. But if you don't want to be there, don't be there. Don't waste everyone's time.
Yeah.
You know, it's you've got 4 or 5 other people that are all putting in this energy and effort, and if you don't want to be there, don't bother. Don't waste everyone's time.
Should have told me I would have hit the rant time button, man.
Yeah, all right. It's all right. You can put that in post.
Oh, well.
But no, it's just one of these things. Like I've seen too many times because I don't know. If I get the sense, Dan, that you're quite similar to me. I mean, like I know I go by Raf, but my name is also Daniel. So like it's
Sense.
I
yep.
didn't know that.
So I know what it can be like to be in a band and give it and have it be everything. Like have it's your every single day you're thinking about it. Every decision that you make is like, all right, how is this going to impact what I've got going on with the band? And I appreciate and understand how much of a weight that can be. It's a blessing. It's a blessing, but it's also a curse in some ways because it's so
Yeah.
consuming. It's so consuming that it really can become a burden in some aspects. And, you know, seeing
Yeah.
other
In
people in the band not give it that same passion is hard and it hurts. I get that. I understand that.
Yeah.
And I've seen it multiple times. I've been involved with bands, and you see people that just seem to be checked out, and you're like, well, why the fuck am I bothering if
Exactly.
they're not
The
bothering?
worst part is when they're so keen at the start, and then all of a sudden one day
Yeah.
you even notice it, it just fucking drops off, and you're just like, fuck. Like,
Yeah.
It's
What-
a slow burn.
How is the
Yeah.
biggest question there.
yeah,
It's like
And
like in
and
all just like going back to it, it's like
Mm.
I know I gave the history of how the band started, but there's absolutely no way in hell we would be where we are without Smoke over here. I mean, Philip has come from an experienced background of being in a few bands, and once he came into the project, it's like together we have started to make this move. Like I was inexperienced, I had no idea.
I remember
were trying-
Dan's first gig. He's like, oh, like, do we get to sound check now? And it's like, oh no, we get a line check. Like,
Yeah.
I was
Yeah.
fucking nervous, man. That was, we
do you
played
think they can hear my guitar properly? It's like,
yeah, we on our first gig we played a cover of we did End of Heartache by Killswitch, we did
Nice.
Harder by Trivium, and Creeping Death by Metallica. And like all I could think about for like the weeks leading up is I better fucking nail these solos. I better nail these solos, and I'm like making sure everything on the pedal board in front of me, like I'm freaking out. But it's like you guys, you go on stage and you have that first set, and you're like, "Holy fuck, I want to do this forever."
Mm.
Because like you just don't want it to stop. So
Yeah. And it's look, that feeling is so addictive. That feeling
is.
of being on stage and having people cheer for you and enjoy what you've created is it's so addictive. And this is the thing, like this is my theory on why it part of the reason, I think at least, that so many musicians fall into traps of addiction around drugs, alcohol, uh, gambling, sex, whatever. It's because that, as musicians, we inherently have this need for external validation.
Mm.
It's if we didn't care about external validation, like we wouldn't be up there performing. Quite frankly, I think that's a key. And as much as people
Yeah.
can say, no, I don't care what anyone else thinks, it's like cool, but
Get it.
you wouldn't be up there on stage playing to an empty room. You know what I mean? Like if you were up there, if they said you can play the biggest arenas in the world, but there's not going to be anyone in there, like you know what I mean? It's people wouldn't be doing it if there was no audience. You're not going to perform to no audience. So
No, you
there's
just
this
pay $15, go practice in a practice room for an hour.
inherent need for that external validation. And I'm not saying that we only need that and that's the only source of satisfaction in our lives, but for a lot of us that's a part of who we are. And once you get that from a crowd, there is no comparison. There is no comparison to anything else. And that is why I think so many of that's part of it anyway. Like that combined with the fact that once people get a bit of fame and momentum and popularity, they're kind of surrounded by people that want a piece of that and don't want to say no to them, and so they give them grants them easy access to this stuff as well. But I think that's it, because people will, they want to party, they want to continue that good feeling, which which I think often leads down the path of addiction to substances, because you can't you can't perform all of the time. You can't be performing 24/7, so you can't have that feeling 24/7. But you can be drunk 24/7. You can be smoking weed 24/7. You can be doing 8 balls of coke from the moment you wake up till 3 days later when you pass out. Like it's, do you know what I mean? Like it's just
Yeah.
yeah, you make the maintaining
it's
that
so
yeah.
Same thing
maintaining
with
that
it's the
high
same
and that
thing with
energy.
athletes as well.
Yeah,
You used to the drive, the adrenaline going. As soon as you walk up on stage, your heart
but
starts
but
pumping.
but athletes can train. Athletes can go and train and push
Yeah,
themselves in the gym to get a semblance of it.
yeah.
With musicians, doesn't matter how much you're practicing your instrument, it's not the same.
It's when
Yeah, it's not the same.
retiring ones find the issue. It's when they retire for athletes.
Yes.
Retire or injury.
Yeah.
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 And that's what I mean. Like, I just think there's so much that it's one of those things where for a lot of us, it's either worth it or it's not. Because for that 45 minutes that you're on to an hour that you're on stage, that's great. That's the best part of it. That is 100% the best part of it. But then you have to decide, is all of the rest of the effort worth it? Because for most of us, being real, we're not going to make it. We're not going to get to the stage of it being self-sustaining financially. So it's going to be a money pit for a lot of us for most of our lives. And I know it has been for me. Like, if I could get all the money back that I've spent on doing band stuff, oh my God, I could probably buy another house.
Or
Like,
just retire.
Don't
Young.
even get me started.
like genuinely, it is. I would probably cry if I saw the amount of money I've actually invested into my music, right? That I haven't gotten back and will never get back.
You only get one shot at this, man. You may as well do it doing the
But
shit
exactly,
you enjoy.
exactly. And
Yeah.
it has to be worth it, because if it's not, you're just not going to do it. And that's why I think, like obviously people get lives, people get older, they get other priorities, work, kids, it's family, etc. kind of comes into it, and they drop off a lot. And that's why you tend to see, primarily when we're out gigging, we see a lot of these bands that are younger. Bands that are in their 20s because a lot of the time people get to their 30s, they've started to get married, they've started to have kids, they have other priorities, they need to buy houses and provide for their families, and they just can't spend the money and the time and energy doing music anymore.
Mm.
That's why so many of these bands that we see when we're out gigging are in their 20s. But there's always that subset of people who thrive on the energy and the adrenaline from it all. And that's what makes it so special, man.
Come out
It
to
really
Southwest
does. Man.
Sydney, Raph, it'll blow your mind.
And man, I'll tell you, like, the more I don't want to come across as patronizing here, like, but I'm just trying to give you a bit of from my experience, man. Like, the more gigs you play, the prep side becomes easier. You're more prepared for it, so you're less worried about, okay, am I gonna hit the notes? Am I gonna do this? Am I gonna do that? Because you will. You
Yeah.
will. You've nailed it. You've nailed it. It's fine. It becomes about just enjoying it and drinking it in. And, don't ever sacrifice the enjoyment of playing to try and make it perfect. Is,
Yeah.
I
So
guess,
true.
the key thing.
Yeah, and like one of the things as well where I noticed, especially over the last month, um, we've gone through our rotations and members and whatnot, and you spend all this money. And one of the complications we actually have in our group too is that these guys are all up in Queensland. I'm now the only one in Sydney, so we also have that like travel,
Yeah.
all that kind of stuff going on. But look, we make it work, and it's important because we're all in the same mindset. But
On the plus
barring
side,
all
no
that,
hotel costs when
yeah,
you go to
Exactly.
yeah,
Yeah.
and like barring all that, and going back to what you said about what you take away from the experience, it's like I've got a mate here who I would not have ever known had I not started the band, and he's been like the most loyal mate I've ever had my entire life. So like it's one thing to like play and write music with people you love, but the people you actually meet in the whole experience. Like prior to this, I had a different group of friends, different life, different everything, and it's like I'm now into music, and I'm now around completely different communities and whatnot, and
Yeah, he's
you
got
just
tattoos, STDs, and
I mean, literally, like
Rock
that's how it
star.
is, though. That's how it is, man. Like literally my whole
yeah,
life, everyone that I know in my life, barring my family, I know because of my interest in music.
exactly.
yeah,
Without
Yeah,
question, every
Yeah.
single person that is in my life, barring my family, my blood relatives, is because of music.
Yeah.
The fact that I moved from Sydney up to Queensland, it's because of music. The fact that I've had the romantic relationships I've had, it's been because of music. Everything since I was like fucking, you know, when was 20, oh sorry, 19, since I was 10 years old. Since I was 10 years old and I fucking discovered metal music and was like, holy shit, this is amazing. Everything from that point on, like to today, it's just all because of music. And the fact that it can steer your life like that and become, and it's not to say that I'm only music. I have lots of other things in my life as well. But like it's just that's where it's come from, like those decisions have led me to this current point. And it's an incredible fucking thing to think like if I'd gone in a different direction, I I wouldn't know any of the people that I know. It really does. It becomes when it's your passion like that, it really does become everything.
It becomes who you are. I can't even think about like
yeah,
I a thought of a life without this has never even crossed my mind.
Mm.
Like it's always oh, what if I never found heaven? Nah. Nah. What if I never started joining bands? Nah. Those thoughts have never crossed my mind. How would my life be different? Nah.
Yeah,
Perfect. My life is like
it's always the best. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
always the best
I mean,
decision you make.
and you know what, you guys talking about doing this stuff interstate, like we had Massey from Theftuous on around the turn of the year.
yeah,
He, was,
man.
he used to be in 1 Minute Silence, and he's fucking like Irish Italian. Grew up in the UK. His current project is work. They're working with like two fucking people from America. We had a when we had one of our interviews with them was the first time they'd all been in the one room ever.
Oh shit.
And they were just about to go
Like,
record.
and they were literally about to
That's
go
the only
and
reason why they
record.
were in the same room together.
Yeah, because like
Everything
and
else they've done is outside.
yep, all sending demos back and forth, doing all that stuff. So it's crazy how the connections can be global,
Mm.
you know.
Yeah.
And when you find those people that you connect with and that you can effectively make music with in that way, these days it doesn't matter where in the world they are. It can happen. You guys can record music together across the fucking world, and it's one of the things that I love about the proliferation of the internet is it just makes there's no boundaries on that anymore.
We have a look at what
Yeah.
Connor Price did. I don't know if you listen to any rapper or anything like that, but yeah, there's this like independent Instagram rapper that's blown up. He's like 8 million monthly listeners on Spotify or some junk, like blown up. But done this little YouTube thing or Instagram thing where it was like, okay, I'm going to spin the globe. I'm going to stop it on a country. I'm going to
I've
go
seen
find
it.
it. I'm going to go find an artist that has like less than this many followers. I'm going to send him a track and I'm going to get him to be in the track with me.
I love that.
That's cool. That's really
Like
cool.
the guy's just so smart. Like
Well,
helping
I mean-
everybody through his platform that he made big. He made it bigger by reaching out to the world and then helping other people at the same time.
Well, I think you know, not that Tech Nine did quite the same thing, but I know Tech Nine did they had their Midwest Choppers songs, then they went and did Worldwide Choppers, and they just opened it up. They're like, all right, if you want to be on Worldwide Choppers, send us a verse.
Yeah, mad.
Send us a verse, and they opened it up, and they had like Yellow Wolf back before Yellow Wolf blew up, and they had people from like, I think they had people from like the Netherlands and Turkey, and everything had like little bits on the song and everything. And that's I mean, we did Skunkbone did last year. We did fuck, I can't remember what it's called now, but it's basically a song swap program. So like you get connected with other artists from across the world, and you send them a song, and they send you a song, and you perform you do a version of each other's song
Mm.
That's pretty
to
cool.
connect
Yeah.
like
That's a good idea.
globally and like get exposure, and like so your audience gets exposure to them and their audience gets exposure to you, and it's like the way it allows us to connect people. And yes, there's negatives to it. Of course, there's negatives to it. We talk about the negatives quite a lot, but I don't think we talk about the positives enough
No, we don't.
Yeah.
on this platform. I think, and it's
Nah.
something that
We
we've been
need to
guilty of.
start doing more.
But I love the fact that you guys were able to find each other and work together, interstate and make stuff happen.
Well, Dan's moving to Queensland, so
Eventually, yeah.
you got to tell him how
Eventually.
good it is to move from Sydney to Queensland. It's just like, oh,
Yeah. Oh, without question, bro. Without
Just
question.
get ready to
Like,
slow the fuck down.
rock down.
yeah.
Slow the
How
fuck
are you,
down.
okay? How are you with like heat and humidity though?
hairy.
I'm all right. Yeah, I'm like my background's Armenian, so I've got like the
All right, so
Arab
you're fine. You're good
DNA.
with heat and humidity. You'll be fine. You'll be fine, bro. You'll be perfectly fine. Yeah. No. It's yeah. Like a lot. The pace of life is a lot more relaxed up here.
Yeah.
The scene fucking goes off.
It
Like
does.
It's going really
I'm
good
sure
at the
Phil can
moment.
tell you, like the scene up here goes fucking wild. I know it's been really doing well in Sydney as well. But like from what I've seen up here, like I could never have imagined when I moved up how amazing the scene is up here. There's half a dozen venues in the valley alone that will put on rock and metal shows, on the same it's crazy to me. Coming from Sydney, but when I left, we were down to like Crowbar, and that was
How
kind of it.
recent did you move up there? How soon?
So I moved up June of 2020.
Oh, right. Okay.
Oh, that's
So-
about when I moved up.
Yeah, I had been looking since late 2019. I've been looking for places since late 2019, but like I found I found this place in March. Literally, like I was up here and flew back down. Like I was up here on the weekend that I saw this place, flew back down to Sydney, put an offer in, got accepted. I organized to send the deposit, and the next weekend, I was playing in a Korn tribute show at Crowbar, and that was like the last weekend of anything before everything shut down.
Mm.
One tribute show, was that for Catastrophe Gigs?
I don't know if it was for Catastrophe Gigs. It was under just under the name Life is Peachy. We had Jonathan Devoy on drums. Had my mate Barnsey from Nouveau on guitar. My good mate Six from Dr. Gear. Shout out to Dr. Gear. If you need stuff
Hey.
if you need your music stuff, if you need anything worked on, go and see Dr. Gear. He'll sort you out.
Yeah, man.
And yeah, Jesse from Dark Cell on vocals.
Okay.
Yeah, we just had a lot of fun with that, and
Yeah,
we were doing
cool.
that one. But yeah, that was like right as stuff was starting to be a concern for everyone, like to the point where I actually had said, look, I'm normally one for going in for big hugs and, oh, hey, how you going? Give us a hug, blah blah blah. But I'd said I'd put out there online to everyone, I'm like, don't fucking hug me, don't shake my hand. I'm just trying to be
Yeah.
careful. I'm not being rude. Like it was right at that point. And then by the next weekend, it was like, nah, everything's shutting down. No gigs are happening. No fucking, everyone just stay home.
And make
And
music.
yeah,
Stay home and make music.
Yeah.
but like then when I moved up here, everything was like, yeah, no, it's fine. Like COVID isn't really a thing up here for a while. So at least until right before Christmas and when they started opening the border and it started to spread. But yeah, excuse me, still recovering a little bit.
But yeah, we've always found like not to shit on Sydney or anything, but the metal scene for our experience, I would say, we've always played our best shows in Brisbane. Like the turnout's always been bigger and more people are getting involved in our songs. But look, that being said, the shows we have played in Sydney have not been bad. They're just probably more memorable for us, Brisbane, I'd say.
I will
We
say
played,
though, I think interstate shows are often more memorable just by virtue of the fact that they're interstate. And I know Brisbane's not
yeah, that
technically
is true.
interstate for all of you guys, but like I know when I was in Tensions Arise, we always used to love playing it down in Canberra. Go play down the basement down there, always a blast. Playing shows in Melbourne and Adelaide, coming up and doing Gold Coast and Brisbane were just that was awesome. That was always fun because it was novel and it was different. And it was more of a, hey, we're all going on a road trip kind of
Yeah.
shit.
That's what it is. It's that travel kind of mentality.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
when
It's
it feels
fun
like you're
going
on
up.
tour.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's just part of that life. But yeah, man. Well, look, I'm excited to hear you're going to be moving up to Brizzy. We'll have to once you
Two
move
more
up,
car payments left.
do some.
Two.
We'll have to do some. We'll have to tee up some something in person. I'll have to try and get out to some of your shows once you're up here as well because I definitely want to see you guys live and meet you guys in person. So you mentioned that you got another song that you guys are still kind of trying to get done for release. Is that right?
Everything's
so-
done,
Okay.
but
Yeah,
yeah,
we have one that's finished and we will release it probably within the next month or two.
Yeah,
Okay.
man.
Just given the scenario we're in, we've decided to just like pause the release date for that.
Yep.
But yeah, after that, there's another one that just needs to lay vocals, and then the plan was for us to have a full album by the end of the year. We have the material, but we just want to make sure that we're going about it the right way before we just knuckle down the studio. Go crazy.
Do you
Yeah,
guys home
sure.
record or do you guys outsource?
We outsource
where were we
everything.
doing it? Goldie. What was the name of the studio, Dan?
Core Studios.
Core
So
Studios.
Nick
Nick.
Carpenter. Shout out to him. Actually, he is such a patient and awesome producer to work with.
They have to
And
be.
Yeah.
he was just like perfect. Like we sat down, he heard the demos for the first time when we sat with him when we were about to record the drums, and it was just like, "Yep, got it, no worries." And Drew did his thing. Like he did like 3 or 4 takes of the Wretched one, and the second song we recorded, I think first take was like, "What is the whole recording on?" Like he nailed it on the first take, so I don't think there was many adjustments that needed to be made. But yeah, Nick just like he heard things straight away. He's like, "Oh, I know that'll fit there, and this will go there," and even with the vocals, and it was just such a quick and easy experience with Nick. So we're kind of blessed with that, moving and trying a different production approach. Yeah.
I mean, it's always like I've got a bit of a studio here, and I've done some production for a couple of different things. I've recorded the Skunk Bone album that we put out. We recorded all of that here. I did all the mixing and mastering on it. The latest Nuclear Vision single, we recorded most of that here. I did all the mixing and mastering on it. I did the Unentitled EP. There's a few different things I've worked on, and I love getting into my production mind, like my producer brain. It's so much fun. You just think about all these wild ideas, and you're like, and the thing is, my problem is I'll get an idea, and it exists in my brain, but it doesn't have words. If that makes sense, like I'll have an idea in my head and trying to translate that idea that I'm experiencing in my brain, that light bulb moment, into words to describe what I want is so difficult sometimes.
The thing.
Yeah, I just need you to do something, and ultimately, a lot of the time, I just don't even end up explaining the general idea. I'll be like, can you do this for me? And then I'll just get them to do what I want them to do before I've explained why. And I'll be like, I've got an idea, can you just do this? And
Just trust me.
they'll do it, and then once it's starting to take shape outside of my brain is when I can put words to it. It's so bizarre, but it's so much fun at the same time. It's really exciting to have those moments because it's such
Like a
pure
wizard.
creativity.
Yeah.
Oh,
We outsource all the production pretty much. Like I write the demos here on Logic. I don't go too crazy with it. I just have the idea down so that the guys can then learn their parts and layer vocals and whatnot. But it's not until we're actually in the studio getting that full production experience where we start to really kind of stuff. Yeah, but I couldn't do it, man. Like even like looking at the EQ settings on Logic gives me like stress and anxiety. So I couldn't do
yeah.
that shit.
Oh, look, there's a lot of learning curve
That's why
there.
you pay people to do it.
Ask him how much he likes his guitar pedals.
Yeah. It's the thing is and look, this might be just some hack bullshit, right? Like some people will say that I'm probably just being a no talent hack for doing this, but I try, and my philosophy is to do as much as I can without putting plugins. You know what I mean? Like I like to just do the static mix, and I like to get everything as close as I can with just the static mix. No plugins, no EQs, nothing. Like just try and get the static mix as close as you can to what you want, and then just use plugins to gently massage it into place. Because to me, that feels more, I don't want to say pure, but it feels more like real in a way. Because it's so difficult. Like a lot of bands, man, like we've been around for a while, and Kyle will attest to this, the amount of bands that we've seen where live, they're fucking incredible. But that has not been captured on the recordings.
Mm-hmm.
The recordings just sound flat and lifeless and dull, and they do not have the energy in them. They don't have the vibe about them that the live show has. And it's so disappointing because you'll tell people about this amazing band, and then they go and listen to the recordings, and it's like, what are you talking about? And you go, no, you have to see them live. And they're like, why would I see them live? The recordings suck.
Yeah.
So you don't get it. You don't get it.
So there's a
I've got a big gripe with my big issue is bad drums.
Yeah.
Oh,
drums
I love
are
that
hard though.
EP.
Drums are really
Drums
fucking
are hard, but the really
Yeah.
big thing is it just needs a solid kick, especially when you're doing metal. Like if I crank your stuff in my car, which I'm doing 100% of the time, I want to be able to feel that rumble in my chest from that kick drum. I want to make it feel like I'm listening to you live somewhere.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, I'm very much try and work on like to simplify drums in a way. What I tend to do is go, all right, I need the kick and the snare. I need those two to be really, really fucking good. Everything else I got leeway on, Everything else I got leeway on, but the kick and the snare have to be 100% on point.
Yep.
If I can get the kick and the snare right, and I'm good. And I'm very much the thing, and this is something that I'm sure you probably noticed as well is, and if you haven't, once I tell you, you absolutely fucking will hear it every single song you listen to. Metal and rock drums come in two varieties. Either kick and snare forward and cymbals very far back, or cymbals very far forward and kick and snare very far back.
Yep.
And I guarantee the next time you go and listen to a song, you'll hear it and you just won't be able to stop hearing it. I'm very much of the kick and snare forward.
Yeah.
Kick and snare are very driving.
Especially in metal.
Yeah, cymbals are cymbals. It kind of depends because whatever your every song needs that. I'm trying to find the right word for it. I know there's a specific word, but it's basically just the driver of the song. Like it's constantly there. So whether it's like a song, if you look at a lot of stuff from like the 70s, right? A lot of rock from the 70s, it'll be a shaker or a tambourine that's the driver, and it's that instrument doing this exact same rhythm start to finish through the whole song. Or cowbell as well is a big, cowbell's another big one as well, right? A lot of the time on the drums, that might be the hi-hat, so you want to have the hi-hat a bit more out front than the rest of the cymbals, but I generally try and keep the cymbals a big way back, just to avoid too much high-end wash cutting through everything and just, blowing everyone's fucking head off.
No, you can do that with the kick and the snare. That's what I want. Every time.
Yeah, well, the kick is it's like a drop kick to the chest. That's what you want. You want that to be that, and the snare you want to be a slap to the face. Like that's how I always think about them, and it's it's so important to capture that energy in it, and I agree. Like drum mix and drum performance are big factors in capturing the energy of a song.
That's right. Yeah.
Everyone loves Black Sabbath, but almost no one can cover Black Sabbath properly because Bill Ward had a magic about the way he played the drums that is very, very hard to replicate. There was a swing to his performance and just a vibe about his performance that so few people can capture. Same with a lot of Led Zeppelin stuff. Like a lot of these guys, these classic drummers from back in the 70s and 80s, there was certain, like, je ne sais quoi, certain intangibles to their performance that make it uncopyable.
You can play the song, but you can't do it like they did.
It just doesn't have the vibe to it, and it just gets
because that's what drummers are. Drummers are the vibe check.
Gets very, very tricky.
Absolutely. Yeah.
It really, really does. But yeah, I mean, look, it's great. Like I think that there's a lot of production that can be done in house these days to save bands a lot of money. But it's also good to know your limitations.
Yeah, we did do that with Wake Up and one of the other songs. But the problem was it was the drummer controlling it all. And it took us 6 months just to get the tracks ready for for old mate that was going to go mix it and master it. And it bloody put us off. Unless the person's a hard worker or just willing to do work or have a deadline. So
and that's where it gets tricky. That's where it gets really tricky, because you can keep it internal as well, but then if you're right, if the person's not doing the work to get it where it needs to be, then like you're kind of stuck, right?
And
you don't want to redo what you've you don't want to redo what you've already done, but then you run into a lot of problems. Something I did want to ask about, since we're talking about drums a lot, have you guys considered gigging with pre-recorded drum tracks?
Funny you mentioned this.
Oh, is that a point? Is that a bone of contention? Is it?
Well, we're currently in the process of sorting this out. So, given our history with drummers, we've had to cancel shows in the past because of this scenario, and it's the absolute worst feeling in the world, especially when people are coming out to see you.
Drummers
So
are hard too, though. When they get injured, it's like, fuck, they can't play.
Yeah.
But a bass player, oh, he's injured. Oh, roll him on the stage, like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So we are thinking we're gonna do drum backing tracks. We're gonna have a backup tracks
yeah, like
just
it's,
in case. But we'll still be looking for a new drummer. Yeah.
Yeah, of course. So do you guys, when you play live, do you utilize like in-ears or a click track or anything like that?
Yeah, we're actually
Yeah.
building all that now. I've got
Building
it
to
all.
what? Yeah.
I've got it all
Ah,
sitting behind me on the ground.
yeah, he's
Smart lad,
you
smart
bass
lad.
nerds, you
Uh,
bass gear nerds, mate. Look
Yeah.
at the
Yeah,
two of you
Phil.
sitting at the bottom of the screen together in
Yeah,
harmony.
Phil, add me on Facebook and I'll send you photos of the Nuclear Vision Rat one. I'll fucking yeah.
Well, I just bought. So you know, like the Behringer
Yeah,
XR.
that's literally what we've got. That's literally what
I,
we've got.
I just bought an 18 for $500.
That's pretty good.
XR 18 off AliExpress.
Oh, are you sure
Is
it's not a
it-
Bollinger?
Yeah, Behringer.
Boring. I checked the spelling on all the photos.
Look,
so
man,
much
I tell you what,
research on it.
I bought a Shure SM57 off eBay, and it was a fake. It was fake. So, like, the fake shit's fucking out there, and people are mimicking brands that they don't need to be mimicking, right? Like,
Yeah.
it's just,
Well,
but,
I'll
yeah.
let you know how it goes.
Please do.
But
But yeah, no,
if-
we use something similar because everyone likes to have a different in-ear mix.
Yeah.
So we run like if you were just sending the click track to everyone, fine, easy, one box, there you go, no dramas. But because everyone we like to have it as a full in-ear rig, and everyone wants a different individual mix. Everyone wants a different mix. So we use the auxiliary outputs to go to four fucking IEM transmitters, and that runs the laptop where we got our samples and everything in there for during songs and between songs. And we literally just had a gig earlier this year where our guitarist fell ill, couldn't play it, so we used guitar tracks as like a backup for that. So look, these things happen. It's a great option to have, and if you're working towards playing with a click track, just in general, which first of all, great move. It tightens up the performance like nothing else. I know there's some people get a bit funny about it. They're like, oh, it kills the vibe. It doesn't feel natural. I'm like, you can make it feel natural while playing to a click track. You absolutely can. That's part of the art of learning how to do that. But once you're playing to a click track, you can throw in whatever else you need. You can have drum backing tracks, guitar backing tracks, bass backing tracks, so that if someone is sick last minute, the show can still go ahead. It's a great fucking move. Really, really good move. And I recommend that every band work towards it if you want to try and be serious about it. Whether or not you want to go to the point of having backing tracks or not, it's a different matter. But I highly recommend that bands work towards playing to a click track live because it adds a lot. Like we did it in Skunkbone, even just with having our drummer on a click track. Incredible compliments. Everyone's always just like, "You guys are so fucking tight." It was always the first thing people said.
Yeah.
And now Nuclear Vision with us all playing to a click track in there. We initially weren't. We started doing it. This first show that we started doing it, everyone was like, that show was so much fucking tighter. Like, oh my God. It makes a huge difference to the performance. And once you're used to it, it's effortless.
Yeah. Do you also run some of your mix through? So, like, to the mixer, right? Everything goes to the mixer. Do you split it straight out before the mixer to the in-ears?
Yes. So what we do is we run everything barring drums into the splitter.
Yeah.
Then we have a snake that comes out the back for front of house.
Yeah.
So that goes off. So front of house just gets a raw split. They can do what they need to do. The other split goes to the mixer, and then we do what we need for our in-ears in the mixer.
Yeah.
So anything we do in our mixer in terms of compression, EQ, reverb, any of that, none of that goes to front of house. That's only for us in our in-ears.
Yeah.
And yeah, it helps to warn venues when you have that. I will say that, like, don't just show up to a venue not having warned them that that's what you're doing.
Yeah.
But if you can prepare them, then It's
Because I
really
I had
handy.
this idea, like, if you have your left and right main out still, like a normal mixer.
Yeah.
If you had that, like, you pre-mixed the guitars and bass, say, so you're saving 3 inputs on the splitter. At least like that would, or have you
Yeah.
tried anything like that?
Well, see, we actually were considering at one point just sending everything to our mixer
And
and
then
then
you,
sending just a stereo mix to front of house. So our samples, guitars, samples, guitars, bass, and vocals,
yeah,
they would just get a mix, stereo mix to front of house. But after talking to multiple sound guys, they're like, please don't do that. They're like, I talked to multiple sound guys across a few different venues, and they were like,
okay,
please don't do that. You might mix it so that it sounds great in your headphones and in your rehearsal room, but every venue is different. Every venue's sound system is different. Every venue's
yeah,
sound system has quite often they'll have different crossover points between the main speakers and the subs. Their whole systems will be EQ'd differently. The sound will bounce around the rooms differently. It's gonna be a nightmare because they will not be able to control the mix.
yeah,
So if there's any problems, they can't control the mix. They're gonna have to get you to do it, and getting you to do it mid set is a nightmare. So
yeah,
they're always just like, no, please, if you're gonna do it, just send us the direct outs, and you take care of your in-ears, and we just take care of front of house.
yeah,
So I get where you're coming from though, and it is like, okay, well, what if we did this? Like, wouldn't it make it easier? But after talking to them about it, they're like, no, don't fucking do that.
yeah,
So
They have
I mean,
one
unless
job,
you've got
they
your
do
own
it.
sound guy. If you got your own sound guy,
yeah.
that's a different level again, right? So
Because then they can just have it on the phone or iPad.
yeah, yep, they can have
Yeah.
everything there. So
Oh,
yeah,
what a
it's
world we live in.
I know.
it's great.
Watch sound
Everything's
guys
so
walk
professional.
around the back with an iPad now, and they're just mucking around. It's like, oh, it sounds a bit shit over here. I'll stand over here and fix it up.
Yeah.
Definitely. Well, look, why don't we dive into the first segment then? The
Yeah,
first of our
let's
segments, if
do
Kyle
it.
can have the button ready.
Got it.
All right, Kyle, why
Let's
don't you
go.
please hit the thing?
That you could
Quick question
you do,
quarter.
you could do so you
We are back.
All right. So time for the quick question quarter, spelt with Q's, not K's, because we don't roll like that. And this is a part of the show where we just talk to our very esteemed guests and we run through some quick questions to get to know a bit more about them, get to know what makes them tick musically, how they got started. So without further ado, gentlemen, what was the first instruments that you learned to play?
You go,
Do you want
Dan,
me to
if
go
you want.
first?
Or
The first instrument I learned to play was a cello.
Oh,
Hey,
Yeah,
very nice.
that's awesome.
yeah. I was like, I think 8 or 9. Did that for a few years and realized not really cool if my instrument's bigger than me. So
Yeah, but
I
now you're
started
full
playing guitar.
grown, so you can pick it up again, man. Pick it up again. Start layering
playing
some cello into the
sideways.
songs. You learn how to work with a click track, so just layer some cello into the songs, man. Make it a bit more symphonic, symphonic metalcore.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, it
could be a
was
vibe.
it was
Could be a vibe.
cello. And then I didn't play any instrument for probably
not even the recorder?
5 years. I
That
wouldn't say
doesn't
I
count.
played-
We do not.
Yeah.
We do not count the recorder
We
on
don't
this
count
show.
the
We
recorder.
do not
That
count the
doesn't-
recorder.
And then my mum bought me a guitar, an acoustic guitar, when I was 13, and didn't do anything with it for 2 years until I heard "Joker and the Thief" by Wolfmother. I wanted to play that intro riff, but I couldn't do it on a acoustic guitar, so end up electric.
Mhm.
And then the story goes from there. You hear Metallica, and that's it. You start playing guitar forever.
Look, man, Reload was what did it for me, man. Like the
Yeah.
Reload singles, that was what sort of sparked my interest, and I'm like, okay, I like this more than
Yeah.
I like. I always liked music, but the singles from Reload were coming out because I used to watch Rage and Video Hits every morning, and those ones came on, and I was like, oh, this hit's different. Like, and obviously now I'm like, okay, those are not the most popular albums, but I will argue that they very much stand up on their own as great albums. Whether if you like thrash, then no, they're not great albums. But if you just on a musical level, there's some great fucking songs on there. What about you, Phil?
Sorry.
What was
I
your
did
first
a
one?
I don't know if singing's an instrument, but
It is.
I did.
Vocals.
Yes. So I did that in a band when I when I turned 18. It was just like a Sex Pistols type band. And then picked up the bass and yeah, just stayed with that. Not very
Smart man.
musically talented.
No, don't be
Don't
don't be
say that.
saying that. Don't, you can't admit that. You let the guitarist win if you say that.
Yeah.
See, they're banding together. They're banding together.
Sorry, Dan, I didn't mean to cut you off before. What were you going to say?
Oh, wait. Oh, no, I was just going to go back to when you started talking about Reload. But when I was 17 and I got my first car, Reload was the first CD I ever bought. And I remember driving to school every day and I was listening to that album every single day. It was one of my favorite albums.
Yeah. Prince
yeah.
Charming is an underrated fucking song.
Don't get me started.
What was the... Okay, so what was the first album that you ever purchased?
Yeah, I think it'd probably be Reload, yeah.
Yeah.
I honestly can't remember. Because I started, what got me into music basically was LimeWire. And I was just like downloading things for free left, right, and center.
No, that's fair then. That's fair then. So what would you say the first album that you really like took notice of? Like the first thing you were like, oh, this is something different. Like,
Yeah. Motley Crue was my gateway.
Nice.
So I saw Girls, 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 and I just moved back home from overseas, from Portugal. I broke my ankle playing professional roller hockey over there.
Oh, wow.
When they did
Wow.
the surgery, they pretty much stuffed it up. And
Oh, no.
I had a mate that was just basically getting me pissed every day and all that. And I was just sitting there with a broken ankle and thinking what I was going to do with the rest of my life. So, and then he had Girls, Girls, Girls come up. And I was just like, boom, I want to be. It's like when they walk in the strip club and he's throwing the switchblade on the table, telling the business people to piss off. Like,
Yeah.
so,
Yeah. Such a shame that he can't sing anymore.
yeah.
Can't even pronounce the words. Right. So, what was your first live concerts that you attended?
My first one was Soundwave 2014, I think, when Green Day and Avenged Sevenfold headlined.
That was a good one.
That was sick, man. That was awesome. And I remember just like halfway through the set, I think they were playing Backcountry, and the two of them stood up in the middle of the stage, and you got the lefty and the righty, Zaki and Sin, and they're doing their little harmony. It just looks so fucking cool. It's a memory I'm always gonna have, just watching those two shred.
Yep.
Yeah, that was cool.
Mine was Judas Priest at Boondall. Fuck. I was like 17 I was like 17, I think.
That's
Nice, man. Nice. Judas Priest is a good one.
Very good.
I
think that actually might be a first.
I got so much respect for Judas Priest in spite of the fact that I'm not a huge listener of theirs. Like I like the main ones and everything, but like even the new stuff that they've been putting out, like Rob Halford's voice is still fucking up there. It's still on par. Like I saw them perform at Download in 2019 when they were doing that in Sydney, and I'm like, dude's a badass no matter which way you slice it. And yeah, like I have so much fucking respect for Judas Priest. Like they are a band that has just been going and has not compromised ever on who they are and what they do. And yeah, they're like still going now, and his voice is just as good as it ever was. So I got a lot of love for those guys. What's an instrument you've always wanted to learn but haven't yet?
Bass? No.
Okay. Look. To be fair, he is a bass player that's a fan of Motley Crue. Like, and if you've seen the recent stuff about Nikki Sixx, it's like, you know.
For me, it's been drums. I've always wanted to do drums, especially given the scenarios we've been in now. Like I've always thought it'd be an awesome skill to learn, but I've never really had a chance to just bring myself to it, I guess. But I love playing guitar a lot. Like I just love playing riffs. Like for me, it's the most passionate thing. But
It is pretty fun
I
too.
I was like kind of jealous when you told me you'd played cello because that's one. Like I watch those two Italian guys that do the cello. Oh fuck! They do all the metal covers and all that
Yeah.
type of stuff.
Yeah, I did have a cello for a while. I was trying to learn it. I just bought a cheap like Chinese one. It was electric, so it actually had an electric output as well. And like it's it's fine. The finger positioning and not even having like, I think if it had fret markers, I would have been a lot better with it. But the fact that there's not even that makes it really, really challenging to get your notes right. And the technique to play it, especially with the bow, is extremely challenging to learn. There's a reason why there's the joke about people playing stringed instruments with a bow, and when they're learning, it sounds like like a cat screeching all the time because it really is so hard to get it just right and to have it vibrate the strings in the right way. I have like all credit in the world to anyone that can effectively play it, play a stringed instrument with a bow, because like the problem is, I think for me, is I tried to learn it in adulthood, and it was one of those, as a former gifted and talented child, it's like, oh, I'm not immediately good at it. Okay, I'm just gonna put it aside.
Yeah.
I didn't get this in 5 minutes. I don't want to do it
Yeah.
anymore.
Yeah, exactly.
like
I mean,
the
look,
stickers on that.
I actually put tape across the things at where around about where the things were. I did have a very rough rendition of Aerials by System of a Down that I could
Oh,
kind of
wow.
do, but it was like it was
Because I mean, how are you supposed to learn that
very
too?
average
It's like
at best.
you got to put your finger 45 centimeters down on the fret.
Oh, it's literally it's
got no
muscle memory.
markers.
It's muscle memory. It's learning the positions with your hands, and it's a very strict hand positioning.
This is why you got to do it as a
How
kid.
you learn it. Yeah. That's it. That's why skills. Your mind's a lot more malleable as a child. You're more open to new
Nah,
experiences.
it's because they're at eye level of the string, so they can just go like and know how to do
Bro,
it. They can just look at
Bro,
it.
I'm a short fuck. When I was sat down, with my arms up here for the cello, it's just
You know what I mean?
hard.
Not cool
it was
when
at
it's
eye
bigger
level. No, that's good though. Like, look, if you have the opportunity, I do highly recommend cello. You think about the instrument very differently. Like for me, it was always like I loved the sound of it, and I thought, well, it's not too different to bass, surely. But I'm like, don't make that mistake. Don't make that mistake. It's extremely challenging. Unlike guitar or bass or piano, where you can kind of sit down and get the basics very, very readily, even the basics on something like a cello or a violin is it takes another level, like another level up of practice and skill to get your head around it. All right, here we go. I like this one. This is always a good one. If you could pick one big band or artist for Engraved to open a show for, now this is literally anyone's. This can be active band or not, living or not, any point in their career. Your just dream. You could bend the laws of space and time to open for one big band or artist. And you each pick one. You don't have to have consensus. You can each pick one. But who would that be?
I know my one.
Go.
I go first. I would probably pick Parkway Drive.
Nice.
Yep.
I love those guys. Like, it's between Parkway and Trivium for me. But I'd say Parkway because when it comes to my writing the most, that's where I draw the most influence.
Yeah, nice.
I'd feel like that'd be such a fun show. Like I would happily die the next day if that was even a possibility.
Yeah, there you go.
You know what I mean? Like that's how it would be. Yeah. Yeah, we
I
all know
think
what
I
you're
would-
gonna say. We all know what.
No, sorry. Well, I'd do 80s Motley Crue.
Yeah.
But no, I think Avenged Sevenfold whilst Rev is still alive. Like I think that'd be the ultimate. Like that guy was a master. Just seeing how he would set up and all that. Get into it.
Yeah, that's a good shout. Those are some good
It is.
picks. All right, time to break out your Spotify playlists. Who is a band or an artist that you're listening to right now that you believe is underrated and deserves more attention?
There's a few I could say here. I would start with Whisperhead, those guys from Dubbo.
Yes.
We literally just had them last
We had
week.
them on last week. We had
Yeah.
Nolan on last week.
Yeah, so we were meant to play a show with them actually a few weeks ago, but which we had to pull out for obvious reasons. We still made the trip out there to go watch them play, and they were awesome. They put on such a great show. The town and the community behind Dubbo really get behind them. So, but you listen to a band live and then you go check them out on Spotify, and it's like they've got some really cool tracks. I'd say them and a band we played with in Melbourne called Anna. They're more on the symphonic metal side. Um, they're awesome too. I really recommend it. I think they've just actually signed with Eclipse Records, if I'm not wrong.
Nice.
Yeah, and they've rolled out a few singles, and yeah, they're worth the listen by far. They're really good.
Yeah, her voice is like magical.
That's mad.
You can
Just like
you can
Evanescence.
really, yeah, you can just hear the quality of the artistry in their music. So I recommend listening to them. Yeah.
Okay. Good.
Let's check them
Good.
out.
I like that. I
Yeah.
like that. Some good recommendations there. We like to do that. This is part of. We kind of threw that question in purely so we can help expand our own catalogs because
And find new bands to talk to as well.
and find new bands to
Yeah.
talk to on the podcast as well, right? Like that's part of the it's part of the
hustle.
vibe. We want to make that happen. It's but no, look, because the thing is, we've said this before. It's like the Australian music scene really is like going crazy at the moment. It's just it's wild how well a lot of the bands are doing. I see there's one band I've been trying to reach out to, The Last Martyr. I've been trying to reach out to them to get those to get them on because they're doing really really well. I'd love to get Stand Atlantic. I'd love to get Stand Atlantic on, but they're probably getting a bit out of our range at this point. I'd heard a lot of good stuff about them, and then I caught them at Good Things, and I was floored with how good their performance was and their stage work and everything. They just put on an incredible show. And there's just at all levels at the moment, there is so many incredible bands
Yeah.
that, I mean, we just, we love it. That's why we're such fans of the scene and what's happening in the scene and how many incredible bands there are that, that's one of the reasons we reach out to everyone because we want to get that.
I've got another one for you too.
Yeah.
You probably already heard of them though. Armored Earth. They're also from Melbourne.
Yeah, I know Dan from Armored Earth.
Yeah.
I've known him since his previous bands, since before he was singing for Frankenbach, back when he was in what's their name now? I can't remember the fucking name. Scar the Surface. Back when he was doing Scar the Surface, like Tensions Arise, we played with Scar the Surface a few times.
Yeah, awesome.
Massive fans of those guys. Yeah. So, and this is what I mean. Like, there's just so many amazing bands out there that,
It's literally like the underground versus like a mainstream band.
Yeah.
Quality and talent is exactly the same.
Yes.
And-
Yes.
and-
literally,
It's just the
And
stages are all a lot fucking smaller in the venues.
and the quality
And
of the
hotter.
exactly it.
Yeah.
the quality of the recordings these days as well. The fact that people can record themselves and get the production to a decent quality. I can remember even back like 2000, mid 2000s, 2008 when Tensions Arise started out, and like I got my hands on the Horrorwood Mannequins fucking album that they recorded with like grant money from the government that they'd got to record an album, and like the songs were great. They were a great band that had incredible energy, but even with having a bit of a budget there, the production had been very, like it wasn't the best production. And I'm not saying that as like a criticism. I'm not saying that to like have a shot at anybody. I'm just saying like compared to what bands are able to do on a lesser budget these days, the production the production quality of that recording was limited. And so that's what I mean. Like people can be putting out incredible quality stuff that's on par with for the most part, is on par with like what the big internationals are doing. And you can go and see these bands for fuck all at intimate venues where you can meet them and get that really close, intimate live show. And I think a lot of people just don't, they either don't realize it or they've forgotten it, or I don't know. But I think people, the more people learn it and go out and see this stuff, because if people don't support the local bands,
They never
there's
get
not going to be any
famous.
more big bands. There's not going to be any more big bands. And I remember seeing something the other day that like small and medium sized venues have really like been struggling. I mean, we know that anyway. Like if you're in the scene, you know it. But if you're not in the scene, you might not realize it. Like something like across the board, small to medium venues, business has been down like basically 50% since COVID. It's just never gone back. And whether that's because people learned other ways to entertain themselves without going out of the house during COVID, or if people are still hesitant to buy tickets to live shows.
I was seeing the
100%,
insurances
yes.
have all gone up too.
That too.
I don't know if you saw the thing that King Lear's released.
King Lear's, yeah.
King Lear's, yeah. The insurance thing they released was just phenomenal. It was like 50 grand just for insurance. Like, how's that ever going to pay itself back?
Yeah, disgusting.
10% off merch. 10% on the merch desk.
Yeah.
And the bands hate you forever.
Yeah.
Man.
Yeah.
Look, I mean,
So-
and,
so
you know,
on.
when
Yeah,
when you hear stories like that, can you blame venues for doing what they're doing?
I
Yeah.
don't blame them at all. You're like, what you're saying is true. Yeah.
When they do, when you were like, I've never heard figures like that on, you know, and when you hear figures like that, it's like, what are they going to do?
Yeah.
Unfortunately, they got to make a buck any way they can to keep their business open, keep their mouths fed.
Well, it's not just the insurance, it's the APRA fare as well. Like, that thing
Yep.
is ridiculous as well. I think that
licensing
matches the
laws.
interest. Like, they're paying nearly 120 grand just in fees that do nothing for them.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
for the venue.
Yeah, to have music on, there's chunky fees you got to pay for APRA.
Yeah.
Even just to play like music, have a jukebox or have a laptop playing Spotify or whatever in your venue,
You still
you
have
need
to
to
pay
pay. You
APRA.
need to pay APRA fees to be properly licensed to use
Music.
recorded music in your venue.
Hmm.
It's very, yeah. For a brief time, I used to work in debt collection, including doing field work, and for a brief time, like I remember I had a couple of field calls that I had to do that were for venues that hadn't paid their APRA fees. And I'm like, but they're sending me out during 9 to 5 working hours, so I'm like, these venues are closed. They're going to be fucking closed. It's APRA. Like, these are not home addresses. These are venues. Like, these are pubs. They're
Yeah.
venues. They're not going to be open at fucking, 11 o'clock in the morning. For the, yeah.
Yeah. Is it a big
Oh.
fine on it?
Is it a big fee?
Yeah, sorry, big fee.
Oh, it's massive.
It's pretty
For what
hefty,
they-
yeah.
Yeah, right.
For what the artists get out of it and what they get out of it, it's
Mm.
too big.
Yeah.
It's like they don't want you to make music.
Yeah.
Oh, no, because they don't. Well, they want you to make music, but they want you to make it for free because it's, yeah.
Yeah.
What is something that people may be surprised to learn about you guys?
Dan's gay. No.
That's not true, by the way. Ignore that.
It's accepted.
That's where you cut.
We accept it.
Don't worry, Dan. No one here's going to judge you. You can be
Yeah,
That's
yourself.
all right.
It's fine.
You
It's-
can be yourself.
Yeah.
Oh, Phil's always
I'm
asking
okay
me
with it.
bed.
It's just when we're in that hotel room and
You have to share a bed. It gets a bit awkward.
Yeah.
Like, who's the big
I
spoon
do.
versus the little spoon? It's just,
I'm the
Yeah.
little spoon.
It's a good question, actually. I don't really know. Like, thinking for a bit.
if you're big or small, it doesn't have to be, world shattering or anything. We just like
Yeah.
to try and learn a bit more about people.
He likes.
All right, look, I'll give you a quick rundown actually of a story. So, the Wretched One, the single, that song was a song that I first wrote the idea for when I went over to Scotland for the first time in 2019, and I was sick as hell. It was like the first time I was in a country like that and trying to adjust to the weather and whatnot. And I remember just lying there in my bed, completely bedridden, absolutely fluey, and couldn't move. And sitting on my phone, I opened up GarageBand, like that standard app that you have, shitty E standard tuning guitar. And it was on that app. I was just sitting there pressing all these buttons, which are the strings. And that's how I came up with the riff for Wretched One.
Oh, okay, that's pretty interesting.
Yeah.
Fever dream.
Yeah, and that was in a standard E song, and I'm like, fuck, I've got an idea here. This is cool. And I started building it, and there was like all these different files. And when I came back home and finally sat down to record it, I was like going through, and it's all in drop D and everything. And yeah,
Nice. So you're
I don't know if that's a
technically,
mind blowing.
technically that means you're an international recording artist.
Yeah.
Yeah, there you
Well,
go.
yes, that could be the case. Yeah.
Look, hey, I recorded music in America one time. I'm an international recording artist. Okay, that's how I fucking choose to label myself. It counts. I did it.
does,
All right.
it does.
Can't,
You
no one can
recorded
take that
in
away.
You sing
another
on the
country.
phone. Yeah.
You
You're
recorded.
singing to your phone, voice record. Yep, that's international done. All right,
Absolutely.
I'll take
And what about you, Phil?
I don't know. I'm pretty. I don't know.
that. Was
I don't
dyslexic.
have any. Yeah, I'm very dyslexic. Like really
Okay.
bad.
There you go.
Hi.
I like I like that I like that Degameth banner you got behind you. Degameth. All right, and last question for you guys in the quick question quarter. What is your worst music sin?
Worse.
Music sin.
In what way?
What are you
Like,
guilty of for being
Well,
a shitty band
yeah.
member?
Yeah, what are you like guilty of for being a shitty band member, or like guilty pleasure that you enjoy that you know people are probably going to give you shit for, or like
I love Lady Gaga.
my man.
That's what we're looking for.
yeah.
That's the kind of shit. Yeah, all right. There you go. Got it off. Lady Gaga, Enrique Iglesias. There we go.
To be fair,
that
Enrique is the bomb.
Yeah.
You can take
Yeah.
Exactly.
fucking Enrique, man.
I love that shit. But yeah.
I love Lady Gaga too. That's mine.
Oh,
So good. Well, okay. So what I'm hearing is on the eventual Engraved album, there's going to be a cover of a Lady Gaga song. Like that's happening now, right?
I love
like,
Bad
you
Romance. We should do
okay.
that one.
When Tensions Arise played in Warrnambool, fucking Warrnambool, right? So basically Victoria, South Australian border. We played with a band that was, I guess, sort of in like the horror punk kind of vibe. They had a cover that they called Rad Bromance, and instead of, you know, love, 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 I want your love, it's like drugs, 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 I want your drugs. And they made it all about drugs, but it was like, I'm like, that's clever, that's cool,
I like that.
I can dig that.
I fuck
Right.
with that. I fuck with that hard. That's
Have
bad.
they, have they got that? Have they got that on Spotify?
I have no clue. I cannot for the life of me remember their
I want to
fucking
hear
name.
that. Actually.
Damn it.
I might have to try and I might have to dig back through the Tensions Arise photos on the page to see if there's like a gig flyer or something for it, and then try and track down if the band's even still active, because I have no fucking clue if they're still active or if they even ever recorded that or if they just did it live or whatever. But yeah, that was pretty fun.
Cover of Poker Face. That'd be heaps good one.
Yeah.
Yeah. She's got some good tracks, man.
Something like that.
Yeah, she knows how to sell her product very, very, very well, and she's a very talented artist.
Absolutely, she is. All right, moving right along. Kyle, if you would please, it's time to hit the button for my favorite segment and yours when you're ready, sir.
Get in the bin.
Are you enjoying the weather there, mate? What? Are you enjoying the weather there?
Back.
We're back. and it is time to get in the bin. So this is where we say, I don't know if you can see it. I've got the Infinity Gauntlet up here in the back. If you could like get a hold of that, like Thanos, and just snap your fingers and erase shit from the music business, what would it be and why? I'll grab two from each of you. Who wants to go first?
I can start with one.
Yep.
I'd like to say bad egos of personalities. I'm sure you probably get this one a lot. But I think a lot of people fail to realize that a band is, in the word, it's a group, it's a band, it's everyone equal, everyone having a good time together. Some people probably practice or commit more of their time, whatever it is, but what's important is that you're there as like a brotherhood or just a group of people and making your dream happen.
Mm-hmm.
And, bringing those bad egos, it really just shatters something good that you have. So,
yeah,
I mean, yeah, we talk from experience. We've had a past member that's kind of fallen into that path, but just in general, like you can see it happen in larger bands too. It's not really a nice thing that sits around in the community too, and see a lot of greatness just fall.
Yeah. It's look having boundaries is one thing, and being able to say, knowing your worth and having boundaries is always important, I think. But it's having an over the top ego is just that'll kill a band faster than just about anything else.
Absolutely. It's like I think like some people fail to realize, like you have to go through like 1,000 shitty shows to get that one with like 1,000 people turn up, right? Like,
And then you got to go back. And what people don't realize, you got to go back to playing shitty shows again before you get that next 1,000 one again.
yeah, you got to do your
Couple
time
times
like,
over and
that's what
over
it
again.
is. Yeah.
I think
Yeah,
after you get the 1,000 show, every other show after that, you're going to get 1,000 people, 1,000 people, 1,000 people. Don't work like that here. Don't work like that in a show.
And for me, one of the hardest things that I've had to deal with as well is starting over. Like, I was in a couple of different bands in Sydney. Like, not to say I was ever a hugely big deal or anything, but like people recognized what I'd done, right? Like, if I was talking to people about starting doing, about doing something with them musically, it'd be like, hey, well, what have you done so far? Okay, well, I did Tensions Arise and we went and did this and we recorded in America and blah, blah, blah. And then I was in Acid Nymph for a few years and we were doing this and we did all these cool things. And, I've done supports for these international bands and I've done this, that, and the other. And it's like, cool. Like my name carried weight in a sense. And I'm not trying to sound egotistical about it, but like I had done shit and that meant something to people.
Yeah.
When I moved up to Queensland, it's like, fuck, no one knows or gives a shit who I am up here. No one has heard of any of this stuff that I've done. No one's, no one recognizes. I can't just throw the band name out there and people go, oh yeah, you guys did X, Y, and Z. Like, none of that. So like starting over was like, fuck. Like
I had a rep, and now I don't have a rep.
I'm like, I could I know, and knowing nobody, like musically, like having no connections in the business to start getting gigs, and it was literally just cold calling, like cold messaging people to be like, hey, we're looking for gigs, like would you, and it took, and like once we started getting out there, it was like, oh cool, yeah, people like saw it and recognized it and were very complimentary about everything that we were doing and everything, but it's still starting over is killer, and
Because you reset your XP.
trying not to have an ego, trying to keep that in check is such a challenge sometimes.
Yeah, it's all good.
All right. Well, yep.
138.
Yeah, sorry.
Okay.
Don't
No,
be.
you're all
It's
good.
fine.
You're all good.
I got two.
So Phil, what's your first one that you would snap your fingers and get rid of?
Just all the bullshit stories that people, not all people, but some people make up just to deflate others. There's been a bit of it, as you probably know, going around Brisbane at the moment, which has pretty much split the whole scene.
Look, I'm keeping the fuck out of it. I am not touching either of any of it. I'm just like, I'm just like washing my hands of it. That was the good thing about moving up. Like, just like not being in any of it. Not being in any of it meant that if I was ever, adjacent to something or acquainted with people and like some big drama and shit came out, I can just be like, fucking, I'm just stepping back. It's nothing
Yeah,
to
the
do
only
with me.
problem is that shit whitewashed out to Sydney too.
Oh, that it's gone all around Australia.
What?
Like,
Yeah.
but yeah, that'd be my biggest one. Just people, just be honest, and if you got a problem
Yeah.
with someone, just leave it. It's like,
Yeah,
But,
shit's
yeah.
gotten quite nasty, and we won't go into any detail about any of it
but that's my
because it doesn't bear
superpower.
going into.
Just everybody chill out,
Yeah,
have fun.
calm the fuck down. We can all be broke together and playing shit venues.
Yeah,
That's it.
that's it.
Like,
Yeah,
calm
and
the
look,
fuck
and here's the thing. I have no qualms with people defending themselves, and if accusations and allegations are made, people obviously have a right to defend themselves and say, well, no, this is what actually happened.
Yeah,
And I fully respect people doing that and taking that stand. But yeah, the whole situation can just get very messy very quickly, and
very much. Yeah,
It has.
it's just not worth anyone sticking their nose in it. Because then the thing is, for me, I'm like, it doesn't involve me. Doesn't involve me. I don't have any stake in it, so I'm literally just shutting the fuck up about it and not
Yeah.
saying anything to anyone on any side of it. And I'm not commenting on it. I'm not picking a side. I'm just like, there's a lot of ugliness getting thrown around everywhere. It has no impact on me.
yeah, exactly.
So I'm just like, no. And look, if it ever gets to a point where things go to court and it's like, yep, so people are found guilty of X, Y, Z. Well,
Everyone
okay,
just shut
cool.
the fuck up.
And
Yeah.
I'm like,
Let
and
the
that's not
courts sort it.
yeah, it's messy and it's ugly and it just people stick their nose in it that don't need to stick their nose in it, which makes it worse.
But you notice
Attention
it at the
seekers.
live shows now. Like, certain people won't come to live shows now just because
A certain band is playing, or
that person of that band's now on that side and that person on that band. It's just like, who gives a shit? Like,
yeah, and that hurts all the bands that aren't involved in it.
exactly.
So
So
And any members that didn't want to get involved that just happened to be associated with that band.
pretty
Because
much,
now it's trial by association.
yeah.
yeah,
And that's been
and
going around now too. Like,
yeah, it gets messy and it gets ugly, and we don't need that shit. That shit
No.
can fuck off. And if anyone, or what I will say is, whoever had, for those people that are involved with it, and the most I'll say about it is, if you did do what's been accused, then fuck off. We don't want you around here.
yeah, yeah.
Mhm.
But
About
anyway,
I'm sure they would too. Like,
anyway,
Yeah,
let's
but-
and that's enough.
But that's
talk
a
about
very
that.
good thing to chuck in the bin.
That is a very
Yes.
good thing to
Let's-
chuck in the bin. Absolutely,
Let's chuck it out.
absolutely. All right,
One
Dan,
more
what's
each.
the second one?
Fuck.
another one.
Yeah, two each.
Yeah, you got time to think.
I don't know what else.
This
to
doesn't
say.
have to be just about the industry. Like the industry, it can be about venues. It can be about punters. It can be about
Yeah, big
anything,
things, little things.
anything you want. It can be about sound guys needing to calm the fuck down and not drink so much coffee. We understand you need to drink so much coffee, but you're all on edge and you're like one bad moment away from making everyone sound caca. Please calm down, sound engineers.
God, I really don't know. Phil, can you go again?
Yeah, we'll go setup time. Just get rid of setup time, and everything just works. Like, you just
We've
you
got
just
the
hop on
gauntlet.
stage, and it's just like boom, boom.
I think
Yeah.
actually I've got a good one, and this is why I really limit my travel with airplanes. Is the baggage handlers at the airports when they see
They always
fragile
think he's
music
like-
instrument and just happily chuck shit like it's nothing. I think that can fuck off.
Yeah.
'Cause,
Oh, for sure. Like
yeah.
we've seen people's like that multi-$1,000 instruments get fucking trashed, right?
Yeah.
And what makes it worse to me is the lack of empathy that people have when they see that. Like people that aren't musicians will just be like, so what did they expect? Like it's baggage handlers. What do you expect? Like, and they don't realize how much of an impact. That's like the tools of a trade. That's like taking a fucking tradie's ute and smashing it, and being like, oh well. Like it's just fucking just buy another ute. Like it doesn't fucking work that way.
Yeah.
I always feel like every time we've traveled to play a show, like via airplane, I'm always like, I have to hand that guitar case over. I'm always like, is this the last time I'm going to see this thing? You know? It's like I don't know if you guys feel the same way. It's why I
No,
drive everywhere.
I have highly
Yeah.
recommend though. What can I ask? What kind of case you use? It just a standard hard case, or
Yeah. At the moment, I mean, I've had a few decent ones over the years, but
if I can make some recommendations on that front,
please.
hashtag not sponsored. But if you want to, please there's a brand called Mono, Mono. They do. They technically, I guess they would come under the title of a padded gig bag, but they are very very hardy. Like they do. I first got one when I was moving interstate, and I needed something to protect my Warwick thumb base because the Warwick thumb base doesn't fit very readily into many cases. The padding and the foam is very very sturdy. It's not like easily squashable. It's quite sturdy. They have a hard neck support in the next section of the bag. Um, it has, so it's like I would probably trust that more than most hard cases. They do
Okay.
like they do double cases as well, so it's like a padded double case that you can put it in. That's like really really slow. Like you can fucking kick it. Like you'd have to basically run it over with a fucking car before it did damage to it. You know, like they
So,
can drop it, they can throw it around, and it's likely going to be fine.
okay.
The other one as well that I've upgraded to more recently is Enki, Enki, and they do these big like it's almost like a combination of a hard case and a stage rack for
Oh
your
yeah, yeah.
things. So you
Oh,
just
yeah,
like you
okay,
put
yeah.
two you put two guitars in there or two basses, and then you just pop it on stage, take the top part off, and it's stage rack, and it's got your guitars there.
Saw one of them last night.
Yeah, it's a
Yeah, I've seen them
very
before, yeah.
yeah. So it was like $1,000, so it wasn't cheap, but they've like I've seen the test videos of them, and people literally like throw it off the fucking building and smash it with a baseball bat, and the case gets fucked up, but the guitars are fine.
Okay.
So
Next question though. Will they have a size for flying beasts?
yes,
They do?
the N-kit cases you buy the base version, and that'll fit your flying V's.
Okay.
The normal guitar one won't, but you buy the base version, and it'll fit your flying V's. You might have to get I think they even sell a foam cut that goes in underneath the V shape to provide support.
Oh, that's good,
People
yeah.
might think you're a bass player though, walking around with it.
That's
It's
alright. They'll lower their
gigantic.
expectations.
It's fucking gigantic. So do be prepared for that. But like I'm a short ass. I'm only like 5'6", so it's almost as tall as me. But solid fucking cases, both mono and Enki. So highly recommend those if you're looking for something more substantial because you're worried about flying.
Oh, please, thank you.
Um,
That's, yeah.
yeah, really well made cases, and yeah, I've had them for a couple of years now, and I haven't had any issues. So yeah, and like I said, the Enki one, they got wheels, which makes it a bit easier to maneuver around. Only problem is if you're playing fucking like Tomcat or something in the valley, and you have to go up 2 flights of really steep stairs.
I was just thinking
That's
that. Yeah. We played
that's
this one show
We're
in
just trying
Melbourne
to
last
store it out
year.
the side.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. Where was it called again? The SB in
Yeah.
St Kilda in Melbourne. And like, it was a very nice venue. I'll start with that. Right, like on the bay side of St Kilda. But to like get your equipment into the stage area, we had to like go from like behind the building. You're going through like a part of the restaurant, and you go down like a flight of stairs into the cellar, and then you're like in this narrow. You're like weaving through all these like glasses and barrels and kegs and stuff, and then you come up another flight of stairs, and then before you know it, you feel like you're lost in the venue, and
Oh,
I'm just thinking,
Hello,
trying to carry something.
Cleveland.
Yeah.
And then the green room was 3 stories up from there. So then to
Yeah,
get to the green room,
yeah.
you had to walk through 2 nightclubs.
Wow.
Up. Oh, it was intense.
Wow.
For mind you, that was probably one of our best shows. Like,
It was a
Awesome.
fun venue to play at. We played it
because they
was
had
the
this like
basement.
main nightclub
yeah.
at, yeah. This
Okay.
like normal nightclub, like I don't know.
It's a
Cool.
nightclub pop music.
Yeah, like a
Love
very
that.
popular one. And then we had all these guys come in because they were there with their girlfriends, but they've all just come down because they've heard the metal playing, and then they've all come down like, "Oh, we just heard you playing."
Yeah,
Like,
mad.
going
Cool.
off. So
That's
yeah,
cool.
like,
That's really cool. That's really, really cool. All right, Phil, what's your second one?
oh, didn't I say time?
Oh,
Yeah, yeah. Time.
setup time. Right. Yes. Sorry.
Yes.
Setup time. Yes, of course.
Get
Sorry.
rid of setup time.
That's it. He's
All
got the
right.
Infinity Gauntlet. That's actually a
Yeah.
really. We haven't had one that abstract. Like I want to eliminate setup time and make everything work
Look,
perfectly.
I had the show that Nuclear Vision played the other week where we didn't have our guitarist. Like we were headlining, so I got down there super early. Was like put the road case on stage with the like with all of our in-ear setup and everything. Tested everything, and then was able to leave it there. We had a half-hour changeover, but literally all we had to do was like put my pedal board down, plug it in. Yep, the bass is working cool. The microphones are still working cool. The tracks are still working cool. We just had to line check everything because we'd already sound check. It was so much better. It was so
Yeah.
much better. Like I loved that, and because I'm always stressing that I'm not going to have everything set up in time, and because our set is timed out, we can't just cut something.
Yeah.
You know. So I'm always like, oh fuck, we need to get it done. This time was so much better because it was already set up. They had it on extra channels going to the front of house, so they didn't have to plug it and unplug it or anything. And we could just go up, line check, cool. We can chill out until it's time to start the intro track. Oh, so much better, so much better. Anyway, ask anyone who's played a gig with me knows that's the most stressful bit for me. All right, gentlemen. Well, let's wrap it up. Thank you so much for joining us today. We appreciate you spending a couple of hours talking with us on your Sunday. What have you guys got coming up? I know you guys are playing Nowhere Festival in a couple of months. Is that still happening?
Yeah, we're definitely going to be there.
Nice.
Can't wait to actually play at that festival as
I'll
well.
try and make a
Yeah.
point to come down to that one because that lineup looks fucking hectic. So that's with like Deprivation, Lycanthrope, Total Buzzkill. Like, there's so many fucking bands on this lineup. It's
Ooh.
crazy.
Yeah, they just did another announcement the other day, I think it was.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's going to be huge. A lot of bands with logos that I can't read.
Oh, you know it's going to be heavy then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If
for
I can't
sure.
read you, there's probably a good chance I'm not going to be able to understand you either.
Yeah. But yeah, there's lots of cool ones on there. And look, of course, we got a lot of love for Lycanthrope, so that we'll be down there seeing them. and everything, but
Yeah.
that's a great lineup, so I'm really looking forward to that one. Have you guys played Mansfield Tavern before?
Yeah, we played Moondole
What year?
last year.
2023. Okay.
Moondole was, I think, June. It was June
Yeah.
3rd or something. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I think the Skunkbone played 2022.
Okay.
And I've done a couple of other ones there, but yeah.
Yeah, I seen Nuclear Vision for Heavy's birthday.
Yeah.
With you.
Yeah, we played down there on that one. We played there a couple of times.
It's a good venue.
spot. It's a really good spot. It is. All right, awesome. Is there anything else that you guys have got coming up besides Nowhere Festival?
We're doing the Ram It Down in June here in Sydney.
Oh,
Hey, Kyle will be there at that one.
That's
Yeah.
you'll be saying, hey, and keep an eye out for the video for number 6 because I got some new toys and I did some filming.
Ooh.
Yeah, Kyle's
awesome.
always down there at the
Nice.
Ram It
Yeah,
Down
that's-
Festival. He's heavily involved with those.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's a
sweet.
great thing you guys are doing down there. Thank you so much, and we appreciate you guys coming out and playing that.
Yeah, awesome.
Yeah.
And maybe a new song coming in the next couple of months. Maybe
Maybe two.
Maybe
Maybe
two.
two. Yeah, there's
Nice.
definitely one.
Right.
But yeah.
Cool.
But
Well,
yeah, I think we're heading up
go on.
north to Cairns as well.
oh, fuck yeah.
Wow, yeah, busy,
Lots of shit.
busy.
You guys are busy. We'd love to see
Yeah.
that.
Yes.
Cairns, Townsville, Mackay.
Going all the way up north.
Yeah, we're doing Rick's
And
again.
Adelaide
and
too. We're going to Adelaide.
Adelaide.
in October.
Fucking
Good old-
busy.
Good old Radelaide.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jeez.
But yeah, if any
Awesome.
drummers are out there,
That's it, mate. Put the call out.
Yeah.
Absolutely. We'll go and follow Engraved on all the social media. keep an eye out on everything because there's plenty of details and announcements coming over the course of this year. It sounds like we'll be watching very, very closely, and we'll definitely be waiting to get any new stuff in our ears as well. Go and check out the latest track, the Wretched One. It's out on all of the platforms right now. You don't need us to tell you them all. You know where they're. You know what they are. You can
Yeah,
go and
exactly.
find them. Just type in "Engraved the Wretched One" and it's going to pop up for you. Great song from a very talented group of fellas. And thank you again so much. Is there anything or anyone that you want to shout out before we finish this up?
Just everyone.
Yeah, that's it.
Shout out
I'd like to
everyone.
say, yeah,
Shout
like
out.
for the people that have followed us like since day one, like it really motivates us, barring the fact that we're following our passion. But yeah, it's been cool to have a fan base. I mean, I didn't think we'd ever